We are going to watch the 19th, Kim Caviezel, Kaitlyn, Kyle Cease, and the Allisons. And at the end of this, we could add Tim Ballard in there because we're going to play a clip of Tim Ballard and Kyle Cease from just last week, where the 19th always also comes in. Jim Caviezel is an actor, starred in 2004, Passion of the Christ. He also starred in a movie playing Tim Ballard, Sound of Freedom, that has been out for a few years, but finally got released in theaters on July 4th. Finally, because it was in the, buy it and put it on a shelf for a while. Status. When one company got acquired by another company. Kyle Cease is a wannabe Tony Robbins comedian who I used to follow, and now I find very skeezy because he slept with a bunch of clients his whole career, but it came to light in 2020, and he absolutely says he's not changing and still plans on sleeping with clients. He's going to get them to sign an NDA. He's going to get them to say they're no longer clients once he's going to date them, which at least is a little bit of a boundary, at least a little bit. They know they signed their signature, right? And then Allisons, there happened to have been one that Me Too'd Kyle, and the whole 2023 Lucky Girls versus Mean Girls that we're going to watch tomorrow. Allison started a circus around a woman's death, and she's relentlessly bullying people, and she's having a really hard time. And so for 6 months, she's been having a very public breakdown that doesn't look to her fans and followers like a public breakdown. Kaitlyn is one of those followers who has been there since the very beginning, and has been encouraging Allie to do all of the horrible things that Allie does to us. She says she doesn't, but we've never seen her ask Allie to take any accountability, hold Allie to any kind of standard at all, which is why I refer to her as racist. I'm very mad at her at the time of this filming. I'm still mad at her. I still find her racist and ableist, but just because I don't like someone or I have an opinion of something doesn't mean in the grand scheme of things, that's who and what they are, right? We had a one-on-one conversation. I find her ableist and racist. I don't want to be around people like that. I do have people I would consider ableist and racist that I am around because they're more my job, right? My family, my friends that I have a history with. Ditching them, ignoring that piece of them, not an answer. Ditching them completely so they're the world's problem, also not an answer, except where that's going to help with my, look at that thing on my face, with my sanity and my ability in the world. So without much further ado, we won't get to 10 minutes today. Here is I made it big and then clearly didn't because it's not on big. All right. Here is the 19th, Jim Caviezel, Kaitlyn. Kaitlyn's also called Heg's Cure, Kyle Cease, and Allison. For the Lucky Girls versus Mean Girls, but this also has to do with the 2000. All the videos pretty like I did for the Lucky Girls versus Mean Girls, but this also has to do with the 2004 movies. It has to do with my previous stuff that I got involved in and 2023. Yesterday, Kaitlyn / Heg's Cure contacted my mom, and this is partly that. This is the video I did on that Kaitlyn commented on. Let's just add this in. So if we go to, where are we? Because I have two different things open. So that's the right one. Yeah, okay. So if we go down here, first of all, let's just listen to contacted my mommy because she doesn't like being called a racist. And instead of going inside and looking at maybe how she could be a better mom to her autistic child or be a better human being on this planet to people who don't look the same skin tone as us. Right. So so here is Kaitlyn's makeup. Yes, I contacted your family as a courtesy to you before contacting the Vancouver Police Department. You can choose to remove these threats, or yes, I will report you. That should be an interesting phone call. Where did I threaten you? So then I went to her page, and she has exactly 2 videos. 30 seconds, 32 minutes. Where am I? I can't even find where I am here. We're going to need to move these closer to where we are. Okay. So we're going to listen to the last little bit of this because I think it's exactly pertinent to Allie, except she's saying it about a photographer that she's been dealing with for years, it sounds like, and trying to warn the public about. It sounds like he's a toxic, horrible human being. This story needed to be told. this is why I'm making this video, is that Kaitlyn released this video on February 19th, 2020. The same day Kyle Cease got Me Too'd by a Allison. Not the Allie we have in common, but a Allison. Kyle Cease commented on one of my videos, March 17th, this year, and he released a Tim Ballard interview on the anniversary of his Me Too on purpose. February 19th, 2023, he released that. We're going to watch a bit of that as well. And all of those, February 19th, Kyle also released his new Me Too video where he finally got to tell his side of the story because he felt so silenced in 2020 when everyone was like, Kyle, what's your side? Kyle, what's your story? We want to hear from you. And he just made everything into a silent retreat, released nothing, made everything. He copyright struck my channel, which he then didn't pursue when I put in the counter. I don't know if Kaitlyn's in contact with Kyle Cease. Makes me think that they are because of what she wrote to my mom and mentioning Kyle Cease and that he's not a rapist, which I've never claimed he was. I may have said he sexually assaulted someone because that is the definition. Sexual assault is a huge umbrella. He slept with paying clients, multiple, and staff. He had a skeezy relationship. That's not illegal, but it's not moral and it's not ethical, in my opinion. Doesn't mean he should be in jail. Just means people should know if they're paying this man $80 a month to be in the EOL, this is who they're paying $80 a month to. But here, let's watch Kaitlyn. This is gold. Gold.
Wouldn't you look into it? Wouldn't you read the screenshots and wouldn't you, do something? All this evidence is out here and people have chosen to ignore it, and I'm not going to ignore it because I have all this information and I'm going to put it out there, because even if just one person watches this video or passes it along and realizes that it's not safe to work with him, not safe to be around him, then my job here is done. My whole point in doing this is to warn people. This man is dangerous. Nobody moves from state to state and changes their name because they're a good person with good intentions.
I still have way too many tabs open to be able to. Here, let's just get rid of some of them so these things are quite so long. And I can get between them a little faster. All right. That, of course, Allie's not moving between states. I'm not allowed to move between state and state on all of her criminal pasts, but that's a little far-fetched, probably. What she's saying though, like, I just need to warn him. Now, she put out one video. I get it. We're different people, Kaitlyn, right? You made one video about him that's up, and then in the comment section, you can see that other people have found it who have known this man. Allie's a different breed. She's an influencer who is going after vulnerable audience. And everything else applies, though. Just change he to she and you to me, right? The same reason you put this up is the same reason I'm doing all this on Allie. People need to be warned, and there needs to be a evidence when people search her name, when she goes on to her next thing and her next thing and her next thing. She's already, right? She's not moving on to next victims, but she's still cycling through. So, but let's finish listening to this, then we'll go with the Kyle stuff.
This man is unstable. He's proven it time and time and time and time again. And now it's time to do something about it. So if you're in the fitness community, if you're in a fitness model, if you're a bodybuilder, if you're a gym coach for these big bodybuilder competitions.
All right, that's probably enough of that. I am, however, going to read from, I won't put the part that she sent my mom originally, that my mom sent me, that I have in the description, because I have it in the description. First of all, I would like to just mention another little racist tidbit. Why do you have MUA as your middle name? That's not how that works. If you're a makeup artist, you put that at the end. You don't put it in your middle name and make yourself look less uh, Caucasian, you know? More problems. And which we're also, because I don't know what your relationship is with your mom, but you think she's gonna not send me this silly pants, silly, because she knows how dangerous I am. Not at all. Not at all. So in no way would me having information on you put you in physical danger. Uh, yeah, because I'm not a violent person. I'm like Allison, Allie Priestley, not Allison of the Kyle. See, that's why we gotta do last names. Gotta do last names. Okay, where are we? Disturbing. She's also contacted. Where's my mom's first message? So my mom says, after this person contacts her, right, being like, your daughter's dangerous and we're worried about her mental health. Please provide me examples of what she has been saying. Kaitlyn provides no direct examples, just is like, look at all this content, blah, 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 right? I also want to note that this isn't a form of social activism or based in reality. I am not, nor do I condone racism. I am, in fact, of Indigenous heritage, which is not something I'm comfortable sharing with Jubilee. Why? Because your side bullied our side for something similar? Is that why, Kaitlyn? Or is it because you're still a horrible racist and that in no way stops any of your actions? Like, MUA is your middle name. Wow. Wow. But anyway, next. To the best of my knowledge, Kyle Cease is not a R word. And I do not believe she has ever met him in real life. I've been very clear about I went to an EOL event of his and I bought his books and I was involved in the community that fell apart in 2020 when it all came to light. I'm not claiming to be a direct victim of Kyle. There are secondary victims. This is what it is to run a business or be a leader of something and then fall from grace. That's what we were dealing with in 2020, right? And then he brought himself back in when he commented on my video where I was just discussing that to maybe a dozen in an audience, right? Where are we? Then I guess my mother did not respond in a satisfying way after you sent screenshots of my videos without an actual answer to her question, right? What did Jubilee say? Where's the threat? Show me the threat. Why don't you all try having an honest conversation? Set aside your own agendas and work towards a peaceful solution. Because my mom knows me and she knows that's what I would like. That sounds like something that you could do with Jubilee. Not this person, though. This person can't do that with Jubilee. Right, exactly. But I have a history of doing that. So I did. Several others have. In fact, after we spoke, Jubilee apologized. No, Jubilee took ownership of the tiny mistake she made, right? And sent you a video taking ownership, taking accountability for that, right? But you mispresented that to my mom, so she misunderstood it for what it was, but that's okay. Now she's putting my full name on her YouTube because you shared that. And so you too are putting my child in danger. You are the one who contacted my mother with your Facebook account and your full name and signed your full name, right? And by the way, I did remove your full name. It now just says Mick W. These aren't, so then you sent the message that me and Zegionox had, right? Without any of the context of why Zegionox is not having their Reddit removed and definitely not now having their Reddit removed, because this conversation where I was like, well, I'll read your stuff after and make a decision. But I'm probably not going to remove the stuff you've done. But if you don't add new stuff, there won't be new stuff to add. Guess who added to the Zegionox Reddit yesterday? Me. Because you all don't seem to understand how any of this works. But I'm just keeping track as we go, making as much content as is necessary. Stop making reasons for me to make content like this 19 thing, which is brilliant. I love it. We're just gonna be an hour long. It's gonna be so long. Okay. My mother says, thank you for sharing this with me. It seems to be a sincere apology. Otherwise, she would not have done it. She's trying to make peace and develop her understanding. I encourage you to continue to communicate with her. Don't listen to my mother there because we've had enough communication, Kaitlyn, right? We've tried hard enough. You really, I cannot have a conversation with this ableist racist. Will not happen. She just needs to move on with her life. She didn't listen during our conversation. She didn't hear a single thing I said. She just was listening to speak, listening to get her points in, which were never points because she doesn't know me. She doesn't know why I'm doing it. What would have gotten you to stop this? Right? Nothing, because he's a disgusting human being who you need to warn people about. Allie? Tick, tick. Tick, tick, tick. All right. Then she says, I don't mean to be rude, but she just put my full name on her YouTube and will not stop talking about my autistic child, which literally is just, yeah, you're an autistic mommy, right? That's what I'm saying. I've said nothing about, I don't even know anything about your autistic kid to say anything about them, except that I know that you're their parent and you're probably not very understanding of their autism because of how you treat everybody else with autism. Do I think that means your child is removed from your care? No, because I understand CPS and that would be a way worse place for anyone. Even going through that and having someone knock on your door would probably be torture for your kid. So I would never do that, ever. Unlike you all who keep threatening it by comment section, right? Don't seem to care about my kid, despite the fact there's not a single threat, right? No threat. Your just feelings are hurt. Again, your feelings are not the same as people's actual physical safety. This is the racism you need to look in and deal with because you're hurting people, Kaitlyn. Physically putting people in danger, children in danger with your antics. Babe, back to this. I don't mean to be rude. She can remove it or I am contacting police today. So that was yesterday. How'd that go? How did that go? And getting a cease and desist. I love because Kyle cease and desist. It was the whole thing in 2020. And it keeps coming up. And she mentions Kyle. I am not longer willing to discuss behavior that puts me at risk. Neither is Allison, the other person whose messages I've sent. Wait a minute, you sent messages from Allison? The screenshots are so small because you sent so many. Oh, dear God. What even would you have sent that with? Because messages between me and Allison have been Allison being a horrible human. Where are we? I only just got that, though. The other person, oh, no, sorry, that's comma. No. Neither is, comma, Allison, comma. This is, would say Zedgy and Ox, but instead it says the other person whose messages I've sent. Or Kyle Cease. This is a hard boundary. Sweetness, you don't understand boundaries. You don't get to put boundaries on me or anyone. Your boundary is stop giving me ammunition to make videos on, right? Stop giving me content. Stop loading the thing you want me not to do, or don't press play. That's the boundary you get to have, right? Your pigment's color may make you feel a little more entitled than you are to other people changing other people's behaviors and actions for your benefit. You don't get to do that. Now, if I've done something illegal, you can pursue the action you're threatening, but I haven't, and you can't. Seriously. Okay, hard boundary. My mother says, then tell her that. Right? I did. As long as you all know, I will go ahead and do that with a clear conscience. I'd have hoped someone would reach out with mental health support first, but if that's not a possibility, I must do what I must do. So must I. Okay, now we're going to watch Kyle's video he put out 3 years after Allison put the Me Too video out. I'm sorry, not video. That story that Allison put out on February 19th, 2020 about Kyle Cease. The same day, Kaitlyn put out this video. The exact same day. Not the same date, the same day, to the year, to the day. I don't know if she knows Kyle Cease. No idea. It doesn't matter. These dates and stuff aren't. But part of what came up for me when Kyle Cease got brought back in is this, because, one second, sorry. We're going to need to, where are you? We're at the 15 mark. Share, actually. So, just to showcase, February 19th, 2023, right? He puts this out 3 years to the day after he also put out a video, like several videos at me, one of which is actually, we're going to watch that one first. I feel like that one's the more important one. Not more important, but more important for Kyle, and why exactly I'm still fixated on Kyle, but not overly, because Allison puts out so much more, right? So much more. All right, where is this short? Is that where it is? God, I hope so. Okay. Meaning I hope this actually puts this on, because otherwise it's gonna get, it's all of them, then that's not gonna be easy.
I just finished a miraculous 2-day event, and one of the many things that happened was we raised over $350,000 to
He's talking directly to me. This is a response, don't fuck with me, is a response to me. And he thinks he's absolved of all of his past actions because he's involved himself with Underground Railroad. Listen to it in his own words, but I'm just going to pause myself and put it on.
stop child trafficking. This has opened up an incredible door for my heart, and we're already about to do another event, and my plan is to raise over $1 million to stop child trafficking. And one of the things that this is doing for me is it is helping me move to a frequency where nothing can screw with me. Because if you screw with me, you're in the way of my ability to help these children. And this is why letting go of things in your life that don't align and that feel heavy are so important, because it's not about me and where I'm heading anymore. You're actually in the way of my ability to create massive change on the planet and bring as much darkness to light as possible. This is why it's so important to let go of what doesn't align in your life and move to your unbelievable power, because you will be in natural service to all of humanity. I just
get that.
I don't know where exactly it is on this one. We're either going to listen to Tim Ballard talk about courage and how it helps to be in service to people. And then he talks about the movie. I'm going to need people to know that Jim Caviezel, whatever his name is, I can't pronounce it, not only starred in one 2004 movie, he starred in 3 and did a secondary role in a 4th one. But one of the big ones is Passion of the Christ, which they're going to talk about, which was directed by Mel Gibson. And that is exactly the... they're going to talk about it. Let's go.
That chemical reaction have proven that they have these abilities. Well, I say that's the spirit of God. The chemical reaction is just preparing your body, and the courage and the light and the love that comes as a byproduct because you've opened up. And there's a movie coming out about OUR beginnings called The Sound of Freedom, starring Jim Caviezel, who plays me in the film. And wow. Jim has this line in the movie. It'll come out this fall.
Is that? Can I ask if the person I think is directing it, is it the guy you were working with? I don't know if
he is. He actually did the last edit of the film. The very
Can we
last.
say who it is? I don't know if. I think you can, because you've been talking about him in your helicopter.
Yeah. So Mel Gibson did the final cut of Sound of Freedom.
Insane.
And of course, he knows him through Jim Caviezel. Jim plays Jesus in the Passion, and they're getting ready to film the resurrection, the next part of it.
Wow.
So there's a scene, and I don't know that I necessarily said this or not, but it exactly describes it, where Jim, playing me, is talking to my boss, and he's saying his boss, and he's saying, "You've got to let me go on this operation, even though it's outside the box and outside of our jurisdiction." He said, "This job tears you to pieces, and going on this operation is the only way to put these pieces back together." So it's almost counterintuitive, but it's true. What you said is, the more you're exposed to this, yes, the more it hurts. Ironically, the only way to heal from it is go deeper into it.
Yeah.
And serve more and go beyond and even go more this time and expand, like you just mentioned, expand and elevate and bring more people.
Waiting so we can listen to Kyle C speak, because it's like Jim's talking about being in service, and Kyle's all like, yeah, and then you get to star in a movie and Jesus plays you, and that's what everything's about. It's like, he's not actually talking about being in service. Kyle, not Tim here. However, by all means, yep, you're unfuckable with. Sure. Not when you do these antics.
Into your circle, and these kids are my kids, because what happens is the more you do that, that whole chemical reaction and heavenly process begins. And that,
like, there is something so big about this call with you, and it's a different angle from our usual guests or talks that I do, because it is about that courage thing. It's like, okay, there is a you for everyone watching. There's two us's available. There's an us that can comfort an addiction our way to the grave, right? Like, we just got it going.
Yuck, since he used his other people's addictions, right? Give up your alcohol addiction and come sleep with Kyle Cease. That'll help you. There's infinite use, Kyle. All of your use are icky, though.
And we didn't quite tap into the thing, right? Or there's the us that really is going to become who the hell we are, that seems to be divinely protected, that has something magical in it, that we can really step into something and then have this life that eventually Mel Gibson wants to do a movie with you and have Jim Caviezel star as you. That's available for people, right? Like, there's a like, everyone here, there's a
just that part of this, even when I first watched, like, this grosses me out, because it's like, he saves children. That's the reward, saving children. And he's like, you get to have Jesus star you in a movie. Okay, but anyway, the 2004 movies that Mel Gibson and Jim do The Passion, everything goes wrong. They get struck by lightning. They see that as like the forces of the devil working against them. I think it's the actual God telling you that's not the story. This always happens, I guess, when people try to do this on Hollywood, when people try to play Jesus, it's weird. It's weird. The 2004 movies keep coming up is weird. I'm going to show, because there's another one Jim plays in, and I found this trailer, and it is so perfect. Where did it go? Where did it go? I might not have it up. I may have gotten rid of it. Are you here? Are you here anywhere? No. Okay, you know what? I have it up on, I think I screen recorded it. So let's put that up instead, because it'll be easier, because I've got to find back to where we are here. Present. Oh no, screen recording. Here we go. The reason this is so perfect is this is exactly what I told Kaitlyn Heggs-Curie in our conversation when she's like, couldn't you be doing something better? You could be getting paid to do something. You can't pay me. You cannot pay me to do something different. It would lose all interest if I was getting paid in it. And this is about golf, but nonetheless.
Do is sign your name, you make $1 million.
To be an amateur is to love the game. Once you play for money, you can't call it love anymore.
He learned.
I removed me instead of adding me. So he starred in that movie as the golfer. He starred in The Passion in 2004. He was also in some Highwaymen, which I'm not going to watch. I was in the trailer. I was like, that does not interest me. And then he was also a secondary character in a Robin Williams movie, which I'm not going to remember the name of, but 2004. 1 second. 2004 Robin Williams movie. The Final Cut. Somehow there's a second one too. What is going on? Robin Williams, House of D? Never heard of that one. And it's got David Duchovny. Well, we'll be watching that one. That's my process. I'm just watching 2004 movies. But The Final Cut is both a bad movie and a very interesting movie, knowing that it came out in 2004, the same year Facebook did. And it's about a world where people implant children, rich people implant children before they're born or when they're born with a thing that records their entire life, but they don't tell them about it till they're adults. and then they go through a crisis because someone's been watching them their whole life. The year Facebook came out. And you can't have had that happen if you're going to be the person who because the whole reason they have this is to have a funeral with a film in it. It's like the whole reason. It's a weird premise for a movie, but knowing that 2004 is when Facebook came out and that basically created that for people without an implantation in their brain. Interesting. The 19th also, do I have this up here somewhere? Because when I went to make this one yesterday, I searched for what is the meaning of the 19th, and there was a bunch of stuff that didn't speak to me, and I went down and looked at, let's just see. What is the meaning of 19? See if we can find it, because there was a reason. Is this it? Yeah. It actually came up faster than the other one. In fact, let's go back and share it. I'm going to share why. Stop screen. Remove. Present. What is the meaning of 19? So now I'm not on here though, right? I've got to add it in myself. So I just put in what is the meaning of 19. There was other ones. That's not exactly what I did before. 19 is a numerology represented spiritual growth and expansion. That's not what came up before. I swear to God. Represents faith, hope, and good luck. Good luck came up and I was like, eh. But this one, because it was done on April 4th, 4/4, and that's a number that means something to me, I was like, I'll click on that one. Angel number 19 is a sign from your angel that you are on the verge of achieving your goal or realizing your purpose in life. When you see angel number 17 occurring in your experience, I mean, how often it occurs a lot. These are big things. These are like Allison Me Tooing Kyle Cease, Kyle Cease putting up Tim Ballard, Kaitlyn outing a photographer. Kyle also put out his new Me Too video, which really was in response to me putting out a video that no one saw on the 16th of March. He put it out on the 19th of March also the 19th. And then that Tim Ballard, which was actually on the February 19th, 3 years later. Through the process of the material world have concrete beginnings and distinct endings. The spiritual world, which supports our inner lives, is always bringing about new beginnings. Angel 19, your angels are telling you to trust God and align yourself with spirit. And that's like, it keeps coming up for me. So that's more, I feel, the message for me. I read it, it's like the internet's my tarot. And I'm like, I'll take what I'm meant to get from it. There's some things that are more clearly in alignment for me because they go with the dates. And I've only just started realizing these things. The 19th, come on. The 2004 movies, Passion of the Christ, Tim Ballard, Caviezel, all of it. I'm sure I'm going to end recording and be like, on this piece, there's always a piece that I forgot that is so beautiful. If you all think this is about Allison, it's not. It's deeply not. Allison is a projection of somebody who starts a cult and has all of these people who cannot see reality before them and would rather follow their cult leader into oblivion. And it's like these caricatures of that. Pegs, Kira, Zedgianox, Frankie, Sleuth the Truth, all of them are caricatures. They're real live human beings, but they're also caricatures for me to project onto because they haven't removed themselves from the situation and they keep doing ridiculous antics that my judgy Enneagram self that the creator made needs me to go in and look at. I'm going to make as much content as I'm going to make, and I'm still responsible for each and every one of my actions. But if you don't like the amount of content I make, stop giving me more stuff to make it on and don't press play. That's your boundary. That's the only boundary you get to have in my life. Press play or don't. Comment or don't. But if you comment, it's more information, right? The 19th and the 2004 movies. All right, well, that is on mute for some reason. 1 second. I wanted it to be on pause, not mute. You see how that goes? Let's just read you the timestamp because I know it was at the right timestamp. Pause. YouTube is so annoying. And then it auto plays. Even though you pause, it is. Okay, now it's on large screen and now it's ready to go. And ignore that last 30 seconds. Okay, So all that went well in March. Kyle made that video at me, the "Don't fuck with me," less than a week after he had the interview or the conversation we're going to watch. A tiny piece out. We're going to watch 2 pieces. I don't know which one's up and running. I think it's the one that does have February 19th in it. I was watching this because it came out a few days ago. I think it came out on the day before or the anniversary. So I feel like it was July 10th or 9th this came out. Let's just check, shall we? The anniversary, the 6-month anniversary of the Allie drama, July 9th. So I watched it on the 10th. That's what happened. So on the 10th, when I woke up, I was like, oh, Kyle Cease and Tim Ballard. I'm clearly supposed to watch that. And I had ready in the description, because I was recording it, because I want to get my thoughts live. I have in there all of was in the last, what we just watched, the 19s. I was like, Kyle Cease got Me Too'd on this date. Tim Ballard was interviewed on this date, or the conversation was posted, and Kaitlyn had this date. And I have several dates on February 19th, 2020, the date it was Me Too, that both Kaitlyn Me Too'd the photographer and Allison Me Too'd Kyle. I had put up a series of videos on me and my life story, I do believe. And it was like what date are we doing? The 20th. On the 19th, I put up one on community. And on the 20th, I put up one on parenting. That has definitely come in on several cases. But what I got again, because I was like, wait a minute, that's right around the time that almost happened. A falling out, a big, huge event I had with one of my family members started because of an email where I was finally kind of standing up for myself after never doing that in our lives. And I sent that email on February 19th, 2019. And then 2 years later, 2 years to the day, so after the Me Too's went down, a year after that, I sent another email to the same person talking about my Enneagram style, which I just talked about at the end of that one, the Enneagram style, and how the confusion between our conflicting Enneagram styles. Both on February 19th, 2 years apart, sandwiched in between were the Me Too's. I had I didn't put all of that down. I just put February 19th for me has significant like dates with my own personal life, right? I have that in the description while watching the hour-long, 2-hour-long, whatever this is. And then this comes out of Tim Ballard's mouth. I'm just going to make it big first. So you're not seeing just the bottom.
Fast forward to February 19th, 2014, first operation. You just saw footage of it. We go to the orphanage. We get the kids out. It's beautiful. It ends in the adoption of my children. It's beautiful. But what wasn't so beautiful is the little boy Gardy was not there. And guess what? The father was waiting in a hotel lobby, waiting for me to.
So that is, what? How? February 19th, 2014. 9 years later, Kyle Cease posts the conversation of the two of them. They have the whatever event this was, calling in all children, something slightly creepy. And then he comes across my stuff, right? Kyle Cease comes across a tiny YouTube creator who has a bit of something to say about him, right? Instead of listening in any way or ignoring it, he comments the most worrying stuff and makes 2 videos at me, right? Don't F with me and people can sleep with whoever they want. We're a free spirit and we're free. Yeah, we are, aren't we? I don't know. Was it completely random that Kyle and Tim had their interview put up on February 19th, 2023? Was it a combined anniversary of Kyle being Me Too'd? Because at first I was like, this is a coincidence. And I was like, no, wait. Kyle knows the anniversary of when he got Me Too'd. He put this up as I'm absolved of that 3 years later when I've done no healing, no dealing with it actually. Or was it an anniversary of Tim Ballard 9 months after he had the mission where he went, like, I believe that mission is what The Sound of Freedom is about. It's basically about the mission. I haven't watched it yet, but February 19th, 2014. 2014. 14's a big number for me. the numbers on all this stuff is weird. I want to watch the other piece of this interview that I think is very powerful that I am getting from it. And this is just true in all the Game B work and all of the like everything I want to do on the planet. As much as I am anti things, right? I'm anti climate change and racism and cult behavior and all this stuff. If you're anti something, you're just recreating it in a lot of ways. There has to be a pro something. There has to be something you're co-creating, not something you're against. It's just different energy. And so this piece of what he says is like, yes, how do I do that? How do I do that? They don't say how to do that. And I wouldn't trust these two, but still, there's something to be gained from every single person we come in contact with. I think what I gained from watching these two have this conversation is men need this. And I don't mean need to sit on stage in front of an audience and get paid $80 a month. I mean, they need to sit with one another and deal with their shit, their inner feelings. And this is part of the problem with Kyle and just the self-help in general. The coaches are mostly men. The students, the paid clients are mostly women. And that's not necessarily on the Kyles. Why are we going to white men for any kind of spirituality or self-help? They don't got their shit together. And they lie. I meditate for 2 hours a day. Well, really, I'm flirting and bad-mouthing people to my other paid clients, right? I'm bad-mouthing my paid clients to my other paid client I'm sleeping with while pretending to meditate. Well, they're all meditating, thinking they're doing what the coach does, right? Anyway, how to make darkness. I mean, how to fight the darkness. It's not by fighting the darkness. It's by creating light.
To fulfill my purpose, I actually don't need to fight darkness. I just need to be light.
That would normally really annoy me that it does that, right? And then, like when I make it to go big, it does that weird thing. It did it perfectly. It's like, who needs Kyle in there? Kyle in there. Yeah. So what's the light? What is the light that I'm creating is the constant question I'm sitting with of like, right, how do we not have an anti-cult? Because that'll just be a new cult. But to truly actively, because it's not about fighting someone on the outside, right? It's not about saying everyone else is in a cult. We're fighting them. That's how you co-create a cult. It's, what is a cult? Well, to me, it's the bite model. It's a central figure, usually, or even a group of figures, the religion itself dictating how you ought to behave. They're the decider, not you. It's not between you and God. It's between them and God. And they'll dictate it to you, right? The behavior, the information you're only supposed to get from them. They're the source of truth. Everyone else is lying to you. The thoughts, what thoughts are good and pure and right, and what thoughts are bad and horrible, and we need to go and kill them. They're thoughts. They're thoughts. That's all they are until they become a behavior. Emotions, same thing. There aren't bad emotions. What we do with those emotions, we're still responsible for. I was in control of, but that's the issue, right? We're not in control of it, but we are responsible for it. And so to constantly be like, right, I get to dictate my own behavior, including my boundaries with other people, right? I get to decide who's in my life, who's in my space, but I don't get to rule everybody. I don't get to dictate how everybody lives their life and how they ought to behave. And I'm an Enneagram 1. It's like my natural state of being to be like, this is ought to should. And if you all just listened, we'd be in a better, beautiful world because I can see it. And that's like what the Enneagram 1 does. Most Enneagram 1s do not know how to dismantle capitalism and create a world that works for everyone. So it's funny that the Enneagram is the third and final up till now piece of my own identity that was like returned to me piece by piece that like made everything else make sense. Finding out, I think this is the order it happened in. Like, so long ago at this point, by which I mean a decade, right? Figuring out I was queer. That one was a little like, because I'm not a lesbian. I'm not into only women, right? So that would have been way more obvious. I would have known about like, this is queer. Gender, sexuality, not the straight person you thought you were until the moment I came out to myself. Once I could see it, there were signs. There were some signs in my life, right? The other one was figuring out I was autistic. Same thing. You don't acquire autism. So I had it my whole life. But I also had ADD, which I knew about my whole life, and a brain injury from brain tumors that had changed my brain. And so figuring out the autistic piece was this like final puzzle of like, ooh, I have not only do I have neurodiversity, there's this piece I've known I've had all along, this piece I acquired, and this piece that I had all along but didn't find out about. It didn't inform my worldview on myself until much later in life. And then the third piece was my friend in peer coaching, one of my good friends who's an Enneagram expert. Her and one of the other friends we talked to constantly bring up Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, and I cannot keep my Myers-Briggs in any way, shape, or form because it changes daily. It's like right in the cusp of a lot of two of them anyway. And it just doesn't mean anything to me. But the Enneagram kept getting brought up, and she helped me figure it out by helping me. Like, she was like, well, I think it was the fears and the goals or something. It was like, which one? I don't remember what activity she had me go through, but I had like 5 or 6 of the Enneagram types. I was like, I think I'm this. And one was not one of them. And she was like, well, you could be this and you could be that. Or could you be like, well, usually when this pattern exists, someone's a 1. They're trying to perfect them all. Damn, you bitch. That's the one. That's the one. And so it wasn't so much figuring out that I'm a perfectionist, which is what the Enneagram type 1 is, because I don't think anyone who looks at my life is like, you look like a perfectionist. Like everything's really in order, because it's not. But my need, like, it wasn't figuring out I'm a perfectionist. It was figuring out the rest of the world is not. It's like, you all don't deal with this constant bar you're not meeting? This constant, like what I keep telling you all you're not meeting? No, because you don't have it internally. It's just not something you're dealing with. I luckily, as an Enneagram type 1, don't have this is actually the letter I sent to it said to the person on February 19th, was like, Enneagram type 1s have a negative voice in their head. It's constantly berating them. Mine isn't my voice, and it isn't at me. It's what other people think of me. It's like, these other people are going to think this of you. It's like a third party, one piece removed. It's not like they think you're stupid. It's like they will think you're stupid, right? It's not you are stupid. It's like that person over there is going to think you're stupid. And unfortunately, that voice was this person's voice. And then they went on to prove my point that I was unproving in my letter a few months later on the anniversary of the Titanic. So, which is what we watched yesterday, right? Not to do with that, but just so happens the Titanic 9/11 Olympics. And then tomorrow we are watching Lucky Girls versus Mean Girls, which somewhat started this all, right? Like, that's what brought the 2004 movies in. That's what had me meet the amazing people I've met in 2023, had my roots planted, had me feel what it was to have the superpowers planted at the center of my Venn, that now I'm in like I can't do that without people, and I can't get people because it's not within my Venn. It truly isn't. Like, I can look back at my life and be like, I people well. I'm in community, I'm in friendship well, but I don't maintain them, as in I can't network, I can't do the maintenance unless we're physically in each other's lives, right? We're going to see each other at work every day, which is never going to happen because I'm not going to be working. We're going to see each other at school, right? That's how my friendships formed and stayed. And I had a friend, a best friend, who generally orchestrated the rest of it because they were naturally that person, right? They had a friends group, they had a family, and I tagged along with that until a year and a half later, we had a falling out and then found a new person. I can see where I struggle with the peopling. Because I struggle in these areas is why I was able to meta them in a technology way. Like, wow, then I wouldn't have to deal with my emotions. It would just happen, and dealing with my emotions to some degree isn't within my Venn, but yet it is, because it's like, it's just going to keep coming up. You're going to have emotion. You can deal with them. Deal with them later when they fester. There's really no other option. But anyway, light. Find the light instead of fighting the darkness. Because literally, right? You can't fight the darkness. You can't fight the darkness. Just light a freaking light. And all of it, that is my mission. That is my purpose. Unfortunately, a lot of it comes off because I got it through fighting the darkness. I fought the darkness so much it created light, right? Like it was like, you're not paying attention to this one. This light, it's already here. The light's already here. It's in you. Just look inside. 2023. I was watching like weird. Weird seems to be the word. I'm weird. 2023 is weird. 2004 movies beyond weird. My life. All of it. I used to end these with a better, feel beautiful world is on its way, and we all get to help in co-creating it. Feels right. Better, feel beautiful world is on its way, and everyone is co-creating it. How hard it is for you as an individual is really tied to how tapped in you are to what is going on the planet. And I don't mean the evil and the horrible. Maybe don't tap into that. It causes disability. It's what I did. Like, oh, I know a lot of atrocities. Humans are really crappy to each other. But what is going on, that we are deeply, intimately connected to one another. And there is someone orchestrating for the greater good, all of our paths, all of them. And the more that you think you're owed a good, happy life with no blips, no problems, no drama, no anyone else disappointing you, the more upset and disappointed you're going to be. And the more you're grateful for when people disappoint you, show you who and what they are, when they can bring up your judgment because you got more to learn and you know that a learning process is reward in and of itself, you start to be a lucky girl.